are places where reality bends, where the impossible meets the ordinary. Tonight, you will cross the thin line between what we know and what we fear to know. Prepare to enter a territory beyond sanity, beyond logic, beyond the common. The echo chambers, they say some buildings have memories. I never believed that until I moved into apartment 718 at the Blackwood Residences. The building was old but elegant, a relic from the 1920s with Art Deco flourishes and a troubled history few residents discussed. I got a good deal on the rent. Too good, in retrospect. The first night was unremarkable. Unpacked boxes, take-out dinner, exhausted sleep on a bare mattress. It was on the second night that I first heard it, a soft echo, like someone was repeating my words just a fraction of a second after I spoke them. "Hello," I called out to the empty apartment. "Hello," came the faint response. I blamed the building's acoustics, the old pipes, the settling foundation, all the rational explanations. By the third night, the echo was speaking before I did. I'd open my mouth to say something, and a whisper would beat me to it, my words hanging in the air before I formed them. I called the building manager, an ancient man with rheumy eyes and yellowed fingernails. "Mr. Kazan, is there something unusual about apartment 718? He stared at me for too long before answering. "The walls are thin," he finally said. "You're probably hearing neighbors, but it's my own voice I'm hearing." His expression darkened. I wouldn't worry about it. He turned to leave, then paused. "Stay out of the walls," he added, as if that were normal advice to give a tenant. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound I made, every cough, sigh, or whispered curse, came back to me in duplicate. I pressed my ear against the bedroom wall and thought I heard breathing on the other side. Not from the neighboring apartment, but from inside the wall itself. I pulled away, heart racing. "Heart racing," whispered the wall. I spent the next day at work researching the building's history. The Blackwood Residences was built in 1928 by architect Simon Blackwood, who disappeared before construction was completed. Over the decades, there were reports of strange acoustics, of voices carrying through impossible spaces, of residents claiming the building was repeating their thoughts. 3 suicides in apartment 718. All previous tenants. I almost didn't go home that night. But where else would I go? When I entered the apartment, something was different. The echo was gone. The silence felt heavier than any sound. "Hello," I tried. Nothing came back. Relief washed over me, followed quickly by doubt. Had I imagined the whole thing? I went to bed early, desperate for sleep after so many restless nights. The digital clock read 3:17 a.m. when I woke to a sound like fingernails dragging slowly across drywall. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It was coming from inside the bedroom wall. I turned on the lamp. The scratching stopped, then resumed more urgently when I shut off the light. "Who's there?" I demanded, voice trembling. For the first time, the echo that responded wasn't my voice at all. "Help me," it said. "I'm trapped." The voice was desperate, feminine, familiar in a way I couldn't place. "Who are you?" I asked. "I'm you," came the reply. From before, my blood went cold. What do you mean, before? Asterisk, before you moved in. Before you forgot. Asterisk, I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and searched for more information about apartment 718. The most recent suicide was 8 months ago. A woman my age, my build. Her name was I dropped. The phone, her name was my name. That's not possible, I whispered. Not possible, agreed the voice. And yet, the wall began to bulge outward, the paint cracking, plaster dust filtering down. I backed away until I hit the opposite wall. What do you want? To remind you, said the voice. Look in the closet. I didn't want to move, but my body acted on its own, carrying me to the bedroom closet I had barely used. Inside, behind the hanging clothes, was a small door I hadn't noticed before. A maintenance access, perhaps. My hands worked the rusty latch. The door swung open to reveal a narrow space between the walls, barely wide enough for a person. And there, curled in the darkness, was a figure. A woman, her back to me, wearing the same pajamas I had on. Slowly, she turned around. Her face was my face, but older, exhausted, eyes hollow with despair. "You're the fourth," she said, her lips moving in perfect sync with the voice that still seemed to come from all around me. "The fourth, what?" Kai managed to ask. The fourth me. The fourth us. We keep trying to escape, but the building won't let us leave. Not really. She reached out, her fingers inches from mine. We thought moving in would be a fresh start. But the Blackwood doesn't do fresh starts. It only does echoes. I stumbled backward. "You're not real. I'm as real as you are," she said. "We're all here, all of us who thought we escaped. The building keeps us, uses our voices." Car memories. To do what? To lure the next one. The next me, the next you. I ran for the apartment door, but found the only wall where it should have been. The layout had changed. The exit vanished. I spun around. The woman the other my stood in the center of the room. "Don't fight it," she said wearily. "It only makes the walls thicker." "How do I get out?" I demanded. Her expression softened with pity. That's the wrong question. What's the right question? How do we get out, all of us? All the echoes from the walls around us came a chorus of whispers, dozens of voices, all with the same timbre as my own. "All of us, all of us, all of us," the other me extended her hand again. "The building feeds on isolation, on the belief that we're alone." That's why it creates echoes but keeps us separated. What happens if we're not separated? For the first time, she smiled. "We don't know. No one's ever managed it before. But the walls are thinnest tonight." Behind her, I could see more faces emerging from the shadows. More versions of myself, from different times, different attempts at living in apartment 718. All reaching out, all with the same desperate hope in their eyes. I looked down at my hands and realized I could see through them, just slightly. I was becoming like them. Another echo. Unless I reached out and took the hand of my other self. Her touch was cold, but solid, real. One by one, the others stepped forward, forming a circle, hands linked. The building began to tremble. Plaster fell from the ceiling. The walls vibrated with a frequency that made my teeth ache. Together, whispered my other self, and all the voices joined in. No longer an echo, but a unified chorus. Together, together, together. The walls of apartment 718 collapsed inward, not with violence, but with a sigh, like a tent being folded away. And suddenly, we stood on the sidewalk outside the Blackwood, the night air cool on our faces. Just me, just one of me. But in my head, the whispers remained, no longer trapped in the walls, but carried with me. Never alone, they assured me. Never again. I walked away from the Blackwood that night and never returned. They say some buildings have memories, but some memories refuse to be confined by walls. Some echoes need to be set free. And sometimes, the only way out is to realize you were never alone to begin with. I still hear them sometimes, my other selves, not as echoes anymore, but as reminders. We are still here, they whisper when I doubt myself. We are still you, and we are finally free.